wish that I could.
It is time for a brand new episode of the £5 Retro Game Challenge. It is finally back with social distancing measures in place. Now, if you are new here, the aim of this game is to buy as many video games as possible for £5. If you're in the US, that's probably going to be around $6. So sit back and enjoy, and remember the rules of no doubles and no sport titles. Let's go. So we're booting off then with the PlayStation 2 titles. I forgot to mention that we're actually in Chesterfield CEX, and despite the shop closing for quite some time, they have been trading online. So there was a lot of new stock. It wasn't kind of stagnated over the last 3 months. This to me looked like all fresh stock. The shelves were really full, and I had a wicked time. It was so strange being in here. Now, as always, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I picked up, and I will say I'm quite happy with my little but yeah, I thought I'm not even going to bother spending £5 for a reprinted cover of Alien Isolation. Not a chance. So we're popping over to the Nintendo Wii section. Again, another section in this particular store that was very healthy in terms of its library and its variation. Now, weirdly, you see kind of Donkey Kong Country Returns there. Let's just talk about that for a moment. That holds its value, as many Nintendo IPs tend to hold their value across all of the Nintendo consoles. But I was lucky enough recently to pick it up in a charity shop for £1. So I'm still kind of scouring charity shops. I'm yet to film an episode of a charity shop retro game hunt. That's because the smaller ones aren't open and the bigger ones don't really have that much. But I did manage to source a fantastic little Wii bundle, a white Wii bundle, very nice condition. That'll be located in the cards. Go check out that episode. Now, Tournament Legends is a possibility there. Do I pick it up? I like to throw you guys curveballs. I pick things up, I show them, I put them down, and then off camera I pick them up again, because I don't want you guys guessing what exactly I picked up before we get to the end of this episode. Now, 3DS titles. I was very surprised because I actually think 3DS titles have taken a little bit of a dip in value. Again, aside from the classic Nintendo IPs, I mean, look here, Steel Diver, £2 with the lenticular case. I believe Steel Diver was one of the very early releases for the Nintendo 3DS, if not an actual kind of release with the console itself, but I remember it vaguely. DS stuff, never too fussed about DS stuff unless it is kind of like prime time Nintendo hardcore like this, but I already have it. But for £10, it's not actually that bad, guys. We're also going to be taking a look at some of the cartridge-based retro game stuff in this CEX in this episode, and there wasn't a massive variation. It's probably one of the only kind of areas in this particular store that didn't have a lot of variation. Everything else, as you guys can see, there's plenty of 360 stuff. I have a lot of 360 games. In fact, I think I have more 360 games now than what I do on the PlayStation 3 for, the PlayStation 3 library. But I kind of really enjoyed the Xbox 360 because it did have some fantastic exclusives. Like, I remember when Mass Effect was an exclusive, Mass Effect 2 I'm talking about in particular. That was the only reason I purchased an Xbox 360 back in the day, because I kind of fell out of love with Halo after Halo Reach. But there were plenty of other random games that I just really enjoyed as well. And I want to know from you guys if you can recommend any solid but cheap 360 titles. Now, we also got Bully there. That is a title that holds its flipping value. It is Xbox One optimized. I own a copy and I think it was clocked in here at like 15 quid. And I was like, okay, I think that's what I paid for it a couple of years ago. If I didn't have it, would I pay £15 for it now? Probably not, because I can just download it on the PlayStation 4 for about 3 quid. You know, and it's obviously kind of backwards compatible with the digital release of it on the PlayStation 4. And speaking of PlayStation, here I am just scouring the PlayStation 3 titles, ensuring that there's like none that are within this challenge that I don't have, and I did manage to find one, and you guys will find out exactly what I've got. You've actually just clocked me there if you have, hiding what games I do have. I'm also very careful when Jess films that I don't show you guys what I have. Now, a couple of seconds ago I picked up Borderlands. Now let's talk about Borderlands for a second, because Borderlands 3 was a great game when it launched, but I quickly kind of fell out of love with it. I think visually it looked phenomenal. The story, the characters, the voice acting, everything is on point. The world is so fleshed out. But it was a game that I just found it became like too repetitive. So I'm not quite sure if I'm kind of done with the Borderlands series. I think I am, purely because it's just so repetitive. Even its visuals can look a little bit repetitive and samey the more you kind of play it. And there's a failed thumbnail. We're keeping that in. That right there was a failed thumbnail because I just look like crap, let's face it. Look at the state of me. And then we got this, I can't remember the title of it, 15 quid. You guys can tell me if it's a bargain or 15 quid is actually worth it. And we're shimmying back to the PlayStation 2 stuff. So R-Type Final. I was like picking this up thinking, why have I never seen this before? Why has this not like been a thing in my PlayStation library? I don't believe I picked it up. I didn't pick that up. It was I think it was a racing game, a motorbike game in particular. And then about dreams, but I don't know if it's one of those games that I could sit down and play, because I just don't have the patience, and I don't think I have the mental creativity to sit there and kind of say like redesign a game that's already out. I think it's amazing that you're able to play other games from creations, like, you know, creations that people have made. You can dip into theirs, play that, sample it. kind of chucking this footage in here so you guys can judge for yourselves. I mean, there were loads of NES titles in. Didn't actually buy any retro games in here because I had most of them and nothing really kind of caught my eye that I didn't have, like Guitar Hero. But, you know, in these episodes, I'm showing you a little bit of everything. So we're going to show you guys now what I picked up, and then we're going to pay homage to the sponsors of this channel. But I would ask that you guys please share this episode and please subscribe and stay tuned because we have more retro game hunting coming and more £5 game challenges over the next few weeks. Stay safe, peace out, have a good one.